Okay, so I be seeing a lot of women saying nowadays, like, men don't really chase women like they used to. What happened? You know what I'm saying? Men not like they used to be. And it's like, nowadays, a lot of women ain't nothing to chase. Back in our grandma day and back in the day when women were provided for and when women were taken care of, a man actually had to put in certain kind of work to get certain benefits from women. They had to marry a woman to have a baby with her. They had to marry her to get her in the house cooking and cleaning. Nowadays, women give a man everything for the bare minimum. Like, these men had to go to the strip clubs to see a girl undressed. Nowadays, women just do it for free just because they feel like they can. It's like women need to pick a lane. Like, you cannot be a 304 and a housewife. Y'all be talking about how y'all want to get tricked on and y'all don't care what men think, but then in the same breath, y'all talk about how y'all want to be taken care of and y'all want to be provided for. Like, y'all delusional. Like, y'all part of the problem. Like, men change because women change. Like, y'all not like y'all was back in the day at all.
Always, first and foremost, shout out to the content creator. Listen, man, she cooked. She definitely spoke the truth. She spoke the gospel. Um, Man, she just really articulated it well. And here's the thing, right? We got to say this before we dive deep into it. I just feel like the women nowadays, I call them new money, right? It's like somebody who never had money and they finally get money and they don't really know how to act with it. They just go crazy with it, right? And I look at a lot of women that's arrived in the workforce that's finally came into money and made it, which is a great thing. But they have their mentality. It's just like the money has got them. You know what I mean? And it's like they act out on it. That's how I perceive it. It's just like they new money. They smelling themselves, and so they look at they past history of their grandmothers, their aunts, their moms, right? And they like, yeah, y'all ain't do anything. Y'all relationship with men didn't work. We gonna do it like this, but not knowing that that's actually the way to go about it. But they tend to look down on it, right? So when she to go to her point, the content creator, when she say, hey, women basically had more standards back then. A man would have to, marry a woman before you can be intimate with them, right? A man to even see a woman undressed would have to go to a strip club. You know what I'm saying? It was so many barriers and different gates they would have to jump to even get to a woman. It was more harder, right? And listen, there's always been promiscuous women, throughout time. However, in the time that she's speaking about, in the time of her grandmothers and stuff like that, I'm sure they had their fun, right? But I'm sure it wasn't just like, women made it harder, which I feel like it made men more respect them, right? And the way they dress. I told y'all who it's just interesting, man. I think the women they think the money is what creates the power in their femininity, because I think they think that those titles, like their careers and stuff, is what deem their power, right? But it's not. And I think they don't listen to the generation before because they don't have the loudest voice in the room like they used to. And I just think that society and the propagation of the messaging has told them is that's where they get their power from, which is their careers, right? Them getting a certain amount of money, them having this ego about, oh, I don't need a man to make it in this life. You get what I mean? And I think that they've only associated and attached the money to their mentalities to think that. But really, their power comes from being soft, right? Being elegant, being classy, right? Having a little sass, right? A little fire to them, where it's kind of like banter, right? Having a little bit of that, having creating a situation where a man has to chase you because they just so um, drawn to you by desire. But when you, to her point, when you just post it online, there's nothing for the man to desire. There's nothing for him to fantasize about, to create this imagery on why he wants to desire you. It's kind of like he get his fix, I mean, before he even meets you. You know, there's nothing, we're, as men, we are sexually drawn to women. That's just what it is, right? Off their beauty and stuff like that, their energy. But if we get, I think at the end of the day, just on some basic human level, we want to procreate, right? That's just what they want to procreate. And so the stages to get to that point is, you know, meeting a woman, her coming and putting her best foot forward on her beauty and her energy, right? The way she speaks, the way she walks, her elegance, everything, right? Her those intangible things that she brings. And then all that build up brings us to the point where we do want to get intimate and we do want to see what she's working with. But you don't even, here's the thing about it. I think for some reason the class has went away. A woman don't have to show her body to show that she's sexy. You know what I mean? She doesn't have to wear super revealing clothes. If a woman take care of herself, right, and not all women are born with a certain shape, but you can still, listen, a woman can still dress a certain way and turn a man on. A man will totally forget about this portrayed Kardashian type look, you know what I mean? Coke bottle type, BBL type look. If she's sweet, she's soft, she's well spoken, and she dressed so feminine, like that energy overtakes any of the initial imagery on what a woman present. Because once a man is trapped in that feminine energy, it honestly really don't even matter what you look like. Because any man will tell you, they'll take a 6, a 5 to 7 range of a woman who's super sweet, well-spoken, feminine, you know, just bring all that energy over a girl who's quote unquote deemed to be a 10 just off her beauty, but doesn't carry herself in a way of a wife or a woman of status and class. You know what I mean? And so she hit the nail right on the head, this content creator, man. Like the ways of her grandmother, the women of the 80s, and you know, the shows like the Cosbys, A New World, you know, those shows who show women very feminine, right? Very classy, who dress well, who's well spoken, who's soft, right? That's long gone because of, and I'm going to just dive into it really quick. Because number one, especially in the Black community and really in just the culture, man, they have promoted through imagery of promiscuity, through prostitution. All this, a lot of this is through hip hop, right? Remember, hip hop in the day was more about Black empowerment. It was more about just talking real life stories, what was going on. And now it's all for show. None of it's real. Now, are there still scenarios where those things happen? But that's not the majority. You know what I mean? That imagery, if you look at it even through like the 80s and 90s, it was like, you know, drug dealing music. Then it went to gangster rap. Then it went to the partying. And now it don't really even have a theme now. But still, well, actually now there's a lot of women who promote it through hip hop. And, you know, you take somebody like Sexy Red, right? You know, most men would call her 304, a hoe, right? And even the way she dressed and everything like that, just out there, like, but that's what's been promoted to the kids. And so the imagery is what they partake on. And so they find that as, oh, you know, she's high status. In reality, it's not. It's trash music. And it's trash lifestyle and it's trash culture. But we've letting it go on. I think a lot of us are waking up to it now. We kind of, it's just interesting, and not to go too deep, far away from subject, but I'll say this really quick. It's just interesting. I think a lot of stuff is coming to light, right? I think a lot of us are waking up to say, hey, we kind of see what's going on. You know what I mean? And so this is impacting our women and men, right? And so the whole message of it is why men don't chase women. And like I said in my earlier morning coffee talk video, you know, one of the points I touched on was how men are finally waking up to say, hey, we don't want this, right? What they're selling, we're not buying. And so therefore, we understand we have work to do as well. And because we don't want to buy that, that's actually giving us time to focus on ourselves, right? To personal develop when it comes to our bodies, getting back in the gym, getting healthier, right? From all age ranges, right? The second thing, getting our minds right, locking back in on purpose when it comes to maybe our career paths, when it comes to just personal development of being a better man, being more stoic, right? Speaking more articulate, learning new skills, just really internalizing who we are, getting that trauma up out of us, going to therapy. A lot of men are going to therapy now, right? We're rebuilding our mindset. And lastly, our spirituality. A lot of us are getting back to God. I think, and again, my channel is not a religious channel, right? Even though it has a lot of religious elements. But I would say that a lot of women have went away from God, man. And you can see it in just the way they move. A lot of them will say, oh, we in church, we're doing this. A lot of them ain't even in church. And I'm not even saying you have to go to church to get God. But I think if you build your mind and body, the spirit will follow, right? You'll be able to open that spirit back up. But a lot of women not doing that. You know what I mean? And they've went away from God, because if they were, they would understand that just like life has a system, they will understand that God put a system in place, right? As far as how they should move as women, right? Just in their femininity. So, and man, again, I'm not taking us out of the mix, because we have a lot of work to do too. But I think we're finally getting to the point now where we're understanding, like, man, a lot of the content that I push, a lot of guys who push, I think it's funny, because I think it started from Red Pill, and that was kind of the seed. And I think it went to a lot of different directions, but I think we've honed it finally to not even really be even quote unquote Red Pill. I think it's just personal development, just really understanding that, hey, we've been tricked mentally on what we was told a man should be, and also what society outside the media has told us, like even from in our homes growing up, society and the culture as a whole told us what we should be. But I think that now we're getting back to God, getting back to the way of the man, that things are starting to level back out and get put back in order. So this is one of the reasons why we're, as men, are not chasing. Obviously, I'm talking about me, because I'm married, happily married, but a lot of guys I come across in life who are looking for something more, who are looking for better relationships, this is why they aren't chasing, right? When you look at other content creators, or not even really even real, people just speaking on a topic, this is their message, right? Why they're not chasing women. They don't like what they're selling, right? They don't like where things are, and they're like, look, I'm going to just focus on me. I'm going to just build on what I got going on, right? And then when I'm ready, hopefully, that'll attract a woman who can meet me at least where I am, or who on their way up, right? Because, listen, I'm not going to sit here and say all women are partaking in this lifestyle of, not even just being a quote-unquote 304, but just in the whole mentality of I'm better than a man, I don't need a man, or I'm just here to trick off a man, you know what I mean? Like that whole, we're not here for that, right? There are women who really understand, like, I want a husband, I understand what that comes with, I understand why I need that, right? It's a balancing thing act with the yin and the yang, the sun and the moon, the life, right? So those are the wives who need the men, but they're getting there. It's going to take a while, not a whole bunch of time, but I just think, man, for the last year and a half, 2 years, have started waking up. And I can just see it's starting to spread like wildfire. It's a lot of different things out there, a lot of different messages. Like I said, I think a lot of it started from Red Pill. Then you hear things like the body game, just like getting your body to the best point it could be at. You just name it, man. Go down the list. But the whole point is personal development and self-mastery, right? So, but anyway, hey, man, shout out to the content creator. Like I said, I wanted to dive deep into basically why men are chasing, why women are noticing why the men aren't chasing finally. They have a lot of work to do, as well as us. We have work to do too, but I think the women have the most work to do. They have the most work to do. So that's my take on it. Hey, y'all drop a comment below. Tell me what y'all think. Also subscribe to the Hubs and Code if it's your first time. If you've been watching for a while, subscribe and also hit the notification bell so you don't miss videos like this. Until next time, I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.